so thrilled to be introducing our next guest. She's a true heroine in every sense of the word. Please welcome World War II veteran and former Wren coder for the Royal Canadian Naval Services, Suzie Stohn. Thank you so much for being here, Suzie.
What a pleasure to be here and to be called a heroine.
You
Nobody
are.
has ever called me a heroine
You
before.
are. You have an amazing history. Take us back over 70 years ago to when you joined the Wrens.
Well, I joined the Wrens because, are you ready for this? I liked the uniform better than the other services.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, and also I had a few friends
Yes.
already who joined the Wrens. So I did in January of '44 and never looked back.
And for those who don't know what a Wren is, what is a Wren?
A Wren is actually, nowadays she'd be a sailor.
Okay.
But Wren's women were not sailors, even in in World War II. So we here were the Women's Royal Canadian Naval Service, and in England, in England, they found themselves being called Wrens or Jenny Wrens. So we in Canada were also Jenny Wrens. And it was just an easier way of saying WRCNS, which was
Right.
a little bit, you know.
And
Anyway.
what does a Wren coder do?
A Wren coder sits at a desk, and she has a machine in front of her, and she gets messages either in code or she sends coded messages out to the ships at sea or the ships on land. We had well, in every province there was a ship, an HMCS ship.
And this was historically a male position, but because you needed to send the men out to sea, the women took over those roles. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
that was the whole idea, that we did the jobs on land that allowed the men then to go to sea. You're
That's
quite right.
And so you did that for over a year.
Mm-hmm.
And tell us a little bit about your training and how that all came about.
Well, the training, you mean from the start?
At St.
St. Hyacinth.
Hyacinth.
It was the signal school for Canada.
Okay.
And so both officers and ratings had to, before they went to sea or did their jobs, anybody in the signaling or communications had to go to St. Hyacinth for their training.
Right.
So we were selected at our basic training in Galt, the ones that were to go for their training at St. Hyacinth, and I was one of those. So, I mean, we did what we were told, and we didn't know what we were letting ourselves in for, but that was okay.
Yes.
Anyway, away we went. About 30 of us went to St. Hyacinth and completed our training as coders. Now, there are other areas, of course, in the communications business, but for some reason it was decided that we would be coders.
And
So-
when the 3 months was up, you had the highest scores.
Yes, of all things. Anyway, it's kind of a dumb story, but in a way, the 30 of us were all told to lay aft on the quarterdeck. So we lay aft on the quarterdeck, which meant we were lined up in front of the ship's captain and all his officers. And one by one, names were called out as to where we were to be sent. Well, of course, we all wanted to go to Halifax because that's where the action was. So we stood there and the names were called out, and some went to Ottawa, some went to Halifax. But gradually, and as their names were called out and they were told where they were going, off they went. So I ended up all by myself,
Oh.
standing in front of all these gorgeous-looking officers. And they said, and then the captain said, "Now, Wren Coder Hawes, because you have topped your class, you are going to stay here at St. Hyacinth." Well, I was dumbfounded. All I could do was burst into tears, which was a terrible thing to do. You don't do that in the
Right.
Navy. Anyway.
There's no crying
but
in the Navy.
Wrens don't cry,
Right.
heavens to Betsy. Anyway, so off I went and spent a wonderful year. Absolutely, it was fascinating. I was the first Wren in the Signals Distributing Office, known as the SDO. So I replaced the first man to go to sea.
Amazing.
And by the time the year was up, we were manned by Wren coders.
Yes.
So,
So after the year was up, the war had finished.
the war wasn't quite finished, but it was obviously coming to an end. So in April, they sent me out to Prince Rupert, where we were, ready to be at war with the Japanese.
That's right.
So.
And is that where you met your husband over 70
Oh no,
years
I
ago?
met my husband. I met my husband. I was at McGill University first year and up skiing, and we were at Nymark's Inn, and there he was standing on his head drinking a quart bottle of beer. So that's when I met him.
Okay.
And that's when I decided that I would marry him. He didn't know that.
Right.
And then he went overseas as a lieutenant in the artillery. So
Okay.
he was overseas from 43
Yes.
on, fighting through
To 45.
Sicily, Italy, Germany.
Yes.
Yeah. And but he came back on leave in July of 45 because he volunteered for the Pacific.
Right.
So he was here. So I got leave and met him.
And then you found out that the war.
And this is after and then the war was. I can't remember now if I said I was on the train going to Prince Rupert on
Yes.
V. I
Okay.
said that
Yep.
already. Sorry. Anyway.
That's very exciting. Tell us, because we only have a very short time left, what does Remembrance Day mean to you?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a very good question because I was very fortunate. I didn't lose anybody close during the Second World War.
Right.
So it just meant thinking back and marching and but a very special day that we should always keep and cherish.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming in, Suzie. I really appreciate you sharing your story with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
If you'd like to read about the fascinating history of the Wrens, visit the Toronto Wrens Association's website at therens.ca. Thank you so much to all of our guests today for sharing their unforgettable lives with us and helping us find more awareness and understanding of Remembrance Day. My name is Shay Galore, and I'll see you next time on Daytime.